Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 Loomians that are only good because of one move or ability. So, one move or one ability counts, because without these moves or abilities, these Loomians would not be that good. So, let's head on to this list right about now. So, the number 5 Loomian on this list is actually going to be Baneki. Baneki does have quite a few stuff going for it, but if it didn't have Magnify, it would not be good. Because if you look at its stats, it's very fast. And other than that, that's kind of all it has. It does have Poison, and it does have some other moves which are very good on it as well. But overall, without Magnify, Baneki is just another fast, frail Loomian that doesn't hit that hard. Instead, it can be used with the Clutch plushie to get a +2, and then just absolutely nuke the late game. It's one of the best late game cleaners because of Magnify and Clutch plushie, because it can be used late game and then completely destroy everything at low HP. Other than that, though, it wouldn't be the best. It would still have Poison and Boom Bash, so it would still be okay. But it definitely wouldn't be good if it didn't have Magnify. And that's why Baneki's number 5 on the list. Although, unlike other Loomians on the list, if Baneki did not have Magnify, it would still at least be alright. When the other Loomians would probably be pretty bad without it. So, yeah. Baneki is number 5 on the list with Magnify. Number 4 onto the list is actually going to be Cressmere Unleashed. And I know what you're thinking. How is Cressmere Unleashed carried? Well, if it isn't for the Surrogate ability, Cressmere Unleashed would probably be the worst out of the 3 Cressmere forms. It'd probably still be alright, because it did have a pretty high melee attack stat and still very solid melee defense. But if it wasn't for Surrogate, Cressmere Unleashed would probably be the worst Cressmere form. The fact that it could pretty much just take any Loomian's abilities that are fainted makes Cressmere Unleashed amazing. The fact you could run Specmure, Ace, you could run a bunch of different abilities on it. Rev Up, Total Eclipse, not to mention there's also Appetite Cressmere, which is just one of the most OP things in the entire game. So, Cressmere with Surrogate is definitely really OP, but without the Surrogate ability, you're looking at an average roamer with a pretty high melee attack stat. Again, a very hard-hitting Loomian, and that's kind of it. With Surrogate, pretty much makes Cressmere one of the best roamers in the entire game, and that's why it's number 4 on the list, because without Surrogate, it would just be average. Number 3 onto the list is actually going to be Imperior. Imperior is extremely amazing because of Resentful. If insta-killed by a move, that damage will be returned to the opposing Loomian as revenge. Resentful. Resentful hard carries Imperior, and while it does have a solid speed stat, and even very solid ranged attack, it doesn't really do anything else besides that. Resentful hard carries Imperior. Not to mention that since it has a pretty high health stat, with very bad bulk, you can get your Resentful ability critting most of the time. You can get your Resentful ability usually going off at full HP, which is really insane. Resentful pretty much hard carries Imperior and makes it one of the biggest threats in the entire game, because you can't set up. If you set up, Imperior comes in, sacks itself, and then the setup sweep is over. Without Resentful, Imperior would be very meh. It wouldn't be bad because it does have good coverage, but it would definitely be very meh. And it definitely would not be used in the OU metagame if it wasn't for that. Resentful just hard carries Imperior. And that's why Imperior is in the top 3. It's still okay without Resentful, but Resentful makes Imperior one of the best Loomians in the entire game. Number 2 onto the list is actually going to be Whipple Drift. Whipple Drift is interesting because it does have a couple moves which is okay, but it is hard carried by the glide ability. If it doesn't get that +1 speed, there's kind of no point in using Whipple Drift. That's why Glide is really good. You use an air-type move, you get a +1 speed boost. Combining that with Magnify, and just like Baneki, this thing can absolutely sweep late game. Although its speed is a little bit lower, so it needs to utilize the Glide ability in order to get a +1. Not to mention if there's another air move that is used on you, you would still get a +1 boost, which makes Whipple Drift really scary. Without the Glide ability, though, what does Whipple Drift really do besides Magnify? Nothing else, really. Whipple Drift would be one of the worst plant types in the game without Glide and Magnify, and that's why it's number 2 on the list. Even with just Magnify, why wouldn't you just use Baneki, which had better coverage, poison, and also is faster? So, Whipple Drift is on the list, because without Glide, there would be no reason to use Whipple Drift, and it would be probably one of the worst plant types in the game. The number 1 Loomian on this list is going to be Sonoger. Sonoger is already a bottom 3 spirit type already, but there is one saving grace for Sonoger. Spite. When hit by this cruel curse, the target will instantly lose half of their current health. This is the saving grace for Sonoger. If Sonoger did not have Smite, you're potentially looking at one of the worst Loomians in the entire game, and probably at least the worst spirit type in the game. With Spite, it actually is a legitimate threat on stall teams, or on heavy wall breaker teams that can break stall. And since it's the only Loomian that has Spite at the moment, gives Sonoger something that no other Loomian in the entire game has. It makes Sonoger actually really good. The problem is, though, with Sonoger, once another Loomian gets Spite, Sonoger will be absolutely worthless. Not to mention that if it didn't have Spite in its inventory or move pool, it probably would be the worst spirit type in the entire game. It would definitely be in contention for top 5 worst Loomians. So, yeah, it pretty much ultra relies on Spite to hard carry. And Spite is an amazing move. The fact that it can get rid of half a health on the opposing Loomian makes it extremely powerful. And Sonoger is the number 1 Loomian on this list with Spite. And here it is, Sonoger, the number 1 Loomian that is carried by a move. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this list. If there's some other Loomians with some other moves that are carried that I missed, tell me in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!